Okay, I just discovered this. Check this out. Okay, so here's the plan. I want to move one of every type of mob spawner in the game to a giant mob grinder, and farm them all in the comfort of my own home. There are 7 different types of mob spawners in vanilla Minecraft. Zombie, skeleton, blaze, spider, cave spider, silverfish, and magma cube. These 7 are the ones we will be using to create the ultimate mob spawner. Now, for finding them. Zombie, skeleton, and spider spawners can all be found in the dungeons. Cave spider spawners can be found in mine shafts, silverfish in strongholds, blazes in the fortress, and magma cubes in bastion remnants. Now, spider spawners can also be found in woodland mansions, but mansions are too rare and the chance of getting a spawner in there is even rarer, so we're not even going to count it. So now that we know where to find them, you're probably thinking, it's going to take forever to find every spawner I need. And you would be correct, but I have a way of making this search so much easier. A little item called an explorer's compass. All I have to do is tell it where I want to go and it points me in the right direction. So if I wanted it to point me to the closest dungeon as an example, I could say boom and it points me to the closest one. The only downside is it can't differentiate between zombie dungeons and skeleton dungeons and so on, but I'm sure that won't be a problem. So now that I'm ready to go and geared up, cue the epic montage music. What? What do you mean it was copyright striked? Fine, I'll just fast forward to when I locate all the spawners. I have located all the spawners I need. Now, for relocation. Within Create, you can move spawners with almost anything. The only issue comes down to moving them thousands of blocks and across dimensions. I played with a couple ideas involving massive pistons, intercontinental gantry transportation, cars, airships, but all of them required too much extra work, didn't work across dimensions, or flat out didn't work. But ultimately, I just decided to go with trains. They don't require a lot of work, you can attach almost anything to them, and they're fast. So while trains have a lot of advantages for this project, it does have 2 problems pertaining to this project in particular. The first problem is although we can attach almost anything to the train, including other Create machines, to use Create machines, we must park the train at a train station and disassemble it. The second problem, I'm too lazy to make massive train tracks linking all the locations, so... Well, now that I think about it, both of those problems are just me being lazy. Well, anyways, I already made the perfect train to solve those problems. I present the Influx Beetle. The Influx Beetle is certainly a one-of-a-kind transport vessel. Starting in the front of the train, we have the captain's cabin. This is where we can both control the train, and we'll be spending most of our time while traveling. For this reason, it is fitted with all the necessities of travel. While it is compact, it is perfect for what we'll be needing it for. Now, you might have noticed that next to the train controls is this piston-looking thing. You know how I said I didn't want to manually place tracks? This machine will automatically place tracks as I travel. And one other cool thing. I can place tracks anywhere using this machine, and I can go anywhere. So I could be hundreds of blocks in the sky, going over mountains, and just continue going where I need to go. Now, moving to the back of the train, you might have noticed this windmill at the back. The windmill is responsible for powering the crane system. The power provided by the windmill goes into a speed controller. The speed controller will increase the speed of the cranes. Then from the speed controller goes in the gear shifts. The gear shifts control whether the pulley goes up or down. And out the front you can see these levers. Activating a lever will then lower the corresponding pulley. Once a pulley reaches a block, pulling the lever again will raise it back up, placing the block nice and neatly into my train system. I can then take that block anywhere I want and lower it from the train without any issues. And that right there is how I'm going to transport all the spawners. Also, I will be carrying a train station block with me I can place down to park the train and disassemble it to activate the crane system. Well, now that we have that part out of the way, how about we get a move on and get those spawners? While we're traveling, I'll explain the blueprints I have for the spawner. By default, mobs spawn around mob spawners in a 9x9x3 area. But the mob must also have enough room to spawn. So I can't just have like a zombie spawner on the roof with only a 1 block gap. Since a zombie is taller than 1 block, This will just end up reducing spawns if not stopping it completely. So with that in mind, I'll need to be within 16 blocks and have enough room for the mobs to spawn. The idea is to make one big spawner room and have each spawner stacked on top of each other. Then, once they spawn, they'll fall into some water which will push them into a pit. At the bottom of the pit will be some spikes from the Supplementaries mod, and under those spikes are hoppers to collect the items. So, I now have 5 of the 7 spawners. The last 2 are the Blaze and Magma Cube, both of which are in the Nether. All of the other spawners were honestly pretty easy to get, so this should be pretty easy. The last 2 were not easy. After all that torment, I ended up getting all the spawners back to base. So like I said earlier, the spawners here are stacked on top of each other, water push mob into spike, drops go brr, train go boom, and boom, the cheese grater. I AFK'd here for an hour and I'll be damned, it worked like a charm. I was able to generate stacks of items, and honestly I'm quite impressed. You see, I can make good stuff on the first try, but small issue. So it turns out blazes require the player to deal damage to them first in order for them to drop the blaze rods. Tear it down. Let's start over. I'm going to keep the spawner pillar as before, since that worked without any issues. I'm also going to keep the water, but make the hole a little bigger since magma cubes would sometimes refuse to enter the hole. I did end up testing a bunch of ways of killing blazes, but the only way I was able to get them to drop anything was at least doing 1 point of damage. Luckily, I don't have to deal the final blow, I just have to hurt them. I will also be adding spikes back to the system, but I'll tweak it around and put them somewhere else. I'm running into an issue where the magma cubes and spiders are so big that they're body blocking the other mobs from getting to the end. So to resolve this, I'm going to have to figure out some way of fixing this. And I think I might have found it. So for starters, inside the pit, I'm going to set up conveyors that will push mobs like spiders and magma cubes into some spikes to kill them. That way they don't body block the other mobs from getting deeper into the farm. Next, I'll create a 1x2 area with a small drop that will prevent the magma cubes and the spiders from dropping into here. This then will push those other mobs into my kill chamber. Inside my kill chamber are some spikes as well as a little slot that I can stab my sword through and damage the mobs. I lowered the AFK area by 2 blocks and placed a wall right here. If I sit myself right in the corner, I'm close enough to attack the mobs, but they can't attack me. Then, once the mobs die, their items are pushed into the chest here by the conveyors. And another bonus with this design is I can now get XP from the farm, since XP also requires the player to have done damage to a mob for it to drop. If you do end up building this, you can 100% AFK farm this with or without an auto clicker. Note that without an auto clicker, you won't be able to get blaze rods or XP unless you make adjustments with other mods. And with that, the farm is complete. Within less than an hour, I already needed a second double chest, so honestly, I'm pretty proud of it. I'm very pleased with how it turned out and can't wait to make more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any ideas for videos you want to see, let me know in the comments below, and have a great rest of your day.